Okay, so wait, hold on. I got to start recording. Oh, it is recording. All right. So anyway, so yeah, so now chapter six of our playthrough through Earthbound Beginnings. But I guess before we begin, uh, it's now the game is now available on the Switch online to play for free. So a lot more accessible in a legal manner for U.S. sourced people and probably European as well. I don't know. I don't really know the distribution and the availability
Who
in Europe.
knows? But that's great. I think it's awesome that more people can play it and that it's on another system that more people might have in the first place.
Oh,
Um,
well, I mean, if you're going to compare the numbers of the Wii U to the Switch, without even looking at them, I would say there's probably 15 times more Switch owners than there were Wii U owners. Um,
yeah.
it's kind of a shame. I like the Wii U. I don't know if I'm just being a hipster, like the weird, like one of the few people who actually like it. Uh, but the games on it were really good, and
Oh, for sure.
you've seen almost all of the good games be ported to the Switch, where the people also praise them there. So anyway, little tangent before we get started. So I think where we last left off, I was in the mansion,
Uh-huh.
uh, and I forget what you were doing.
I had just met Anna and was taking her around to get her some cool things to wear, um, and was planning to head back to Spokane because I hadn't been there yet, to make sure I did that little tangent. And then I don't remember where I was exactly, but maybe Magicant or something, somewhere along those lines.
Uh, okay, so yeah, so what I've done in the week since we last had this episode, um, look up a guide on how to get through the haunted house because I got lost in there for at least like an hour and a half, and I did not have the patience to like actually map out the entire
Yeah.
maze. So, um, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was after going through a bunch of different hallways and doors and whatever, you get to a room with a present and it's empty. So,
That sounds right. Yeah.
so I was like, you
Oh.
know what, that's it. I can't take this anymore. So, but yeah, so you traverse. You, there's like weird. I don't know. I don't know who's heckling you, but as you're going throughout the haunted
Mm.
mansion, um, some kind of spirit seems to be giggling at you and telling you that you're not going to make it out alive. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, is that just a random ghost? Is that supposed to be the ghost of the youngest Rosemary that somebody says in town they really don't like the youngest Rosemary kid? Um,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
that
know,
creep.
and I don't know if it's
Yeah.
ever going to pay out. And yeah, I guess one of the things was I feel like this whole building is maybe a reference to The Shining,
Hmm.
just in terms of kind of like an isolated mansion, or in The Shining it was a hotel. Um, but the hotels in Earthbound's world are even smaller than this mansion. So, um, but yeah, there's like some kind of just like spirit in the background that's kind of heckling you, and then eventually you get to the piano. That's your fourth melody that you
Hmm.
get, um, and then I use the onyx hook to get out of there as soon as possible because I was just done with that area.
Nice.
So, did you notice anything? I know that you got to there on the most recent playthrough.
Yeah, no, like you said, on your recommendation, I just looked up the quickest way to get there. After I had explored a little bit, like I just went like left at every door
Yeah.
to see how big the place was, and it's too big. The answer is it's way too big. Um, and there are definitely some rooms that like loop you back on yourself as well. And once I found that, I was done.
Ye-
So then I looked it up. It's easy. It's like 4 rooms
yep.
if you know where you're going. So otherwise, yeah, it's super hard. I got killed by some suits of armor,
Yep.
or at least they killed one of my characters, and I was like, nah, that's not fair. I want to at least be leveling up if I'm going to be wandering around in here. So yeah, yeah.
No. And did you ever get stoned?
Actually, no. I think I only got dehydrated like once also. So it wasn't I wasn't getting all the fun kinds of terrible calamities. Just got smashed by some physical attacks.
Uh, yeah, no, the same thing happened to me. I definitely abused the save states to get through that. Like before every door, I would do a
Hmm.
save state and then kind of go back. And even with that, I think I ran into those rooms that you were just referencing that kind of double back on themselves.
Hmm.
Because typically you walk through on when you enter the door, it's on the right side,
Yeah.
and then the left side it branches off into two. But then you get to a point where you walk through the door, and then the other door appears on the right wall. I don't know. It was very disorienting. Um,
It is. It's very interesting to think about your Shining reference though, like as I'm wondering like what's going on with this place, it seems like it's a kind of it's a maze, you're trapped in it, and mazes are about, being lost and being stuck and trying to retrace your steps. Um and in The Shining, at least the movie, it's like a writer who's in this hotel, right? And with his family, and he's trying to write a book, but he's actually just writing a sentence over and over. Um, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
mhm,
And he, eventually goes totally homicidally crazy. And he, um, well, anyway, so thinking about that in the context of this, I wonder if this is a point where we're seeing like the creator or the developers, the whole team, sort of like hitting a wall creatively, because it's a weird kind of dungeon that they've done before. Also, it bears repeating. Like we've seen this in the setup of the caves in Magic Cant. It's the same exact structure of one door goes to two doors,
mhm,
and then whichever one you choose goes to two more doors. But it's just way bigger, and it's darker and spookier. And there's periodically sections where you're going down long, long flights of stairs.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, so it seems to me like a kind of, I don't know, way of thinking about being in the midst of a really big project and starting to be a little bit uh, in despair of ever finishing it. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, like you said, I don't know that there's necessarily a one-to-one answer here about what this place is or who used to live here or anything like that.
yeah, and you mentioned the maze b- element of it uh, in The Shining. Again, in the movie, I don't know about the book. Uh, the end of it is them running through a maze.
Yeah,
Um,
out in the garden. Yeah.
yeah. So, and then also, if Stanley Kubrick, when he was directing the movie, employed a lot of different methods to make the hotel seem like disorientating to the viewer as well. Um,
Sure.
so not sure if that was an intentional nod by the people making this game or if it's just they, like you said, lost passion, or they're just like let's pad out like the length of this game by just making like I guess I should have gone back and seen how many dead ends there were. Um,
So many.
I
All but
definitely
one, right? It's
yeah,
a lot.
but I don't know how many that like ends up being.
Yeah, numbers wise. It's
But
but it isn't that many rooms for them to program, right? It's just
right,
like a copy paste job.
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's very lazy.
Think
Um,
so. Yeah, and or efficient. Like, yeah. But there's definitely a reference in the Rosemary name. Like that's definitely pointing us towards that Stephen King world. And whether that's in the original game or whether that's the translator, I don't know. But somebody was picking up on the same kind of vibe that you're pointing out. And
yeah, I guess
yeah.
my one question would be is is there a way to actually get the information on where you're supposed to go, or to get some hints? I know I dismissed the one woman who offered
Oh
secrets
yeah.
for $1,000. I don't know what she tells you, but it seems very punishing if you don't if there isn't a way to figure that out. Um,
Right. Right. The hint lady, I don't know how specific her hints would have been. But it does bear mentioning that this is totally optional at this point in the game, at least. You don't have to do the mansion. But again, there might not be any way to really know that as a player, to know that you don't have to do this thing right now because there isn't like anything at the end of it other than a melody that you just need to get before the end of the game. So,
yeah, there's not even a boss or super
nope.
strong enemy that you have to beat. You literally just get to the room, um,
You
check
have to
the
know to
piano.
play the piano. Yeah, you have to check the piano because the mouse does give you that hint at the start. But there's nothing obviously like it's not clear that you can interact with the piano any more than with any of the other little props like chairs and fireplaces and stuff throughout the mansion.
Yeah, so we got the fourth thing, and so after I completed the fourth melody, I ended up to go seek out Anna. I think I just walked there. I don't know if I got on a. No,
Mhm.
I think I used the Onyx hook to get out. I forget how I got there. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you end up there. All the adults seem to be missing, and then you go and you find Anna's house, which
Yep.
seems more like a church.
It is weirdly. Um, it has that feel to it, and I think it's again a reused palette or whatever from the church in the cemetery way back at the start of the game.
Hmm.
Uh, where there is a dude there. He doesn't seem to do anything. Her dad, though, will feed you and heal you up. Um, so he at least has a function here. Uh, and again, yeah, they're looking for her mom, and this is something she apparently has been waiting for you to arrive. Like, she has psychic powers, she has telepathy, she has life up, but she has offensive spells too, which are uh, they quickly become really powerful. She, by level 12 or so, is like dealing way more damage than either of the other two using a beam attack. Um, yeah, she's a little bit broken, I think, actually.
But it's good to know that there's light at the end of that tunnel because right now she's, in my playthrough at least, severely under leveled. And I even
Oh,
tried
for sure. Yeah.
PK freeze on something and it did like 10 damage. It was awful. Um, but yeah, so
No, yeah.
it, it, is there supposed to be, um, uh, I guess, I- is she supposed to be religious in this game? Um, I
Mm.
know in Earthbound, obviously, when you play as Paula, one of her abilities is to pray. Um,
Mm.
but with that, we didn't discover Paula in a church or anything like that. She was just at her uh, preschool or
Right.
school, whatever. So there was never any kind of like direct, I guess, religious connection there.
I
Um,
guess not, but she's also like been kidnapped as part of this cult. So someone is recognizing some sort of either religious or supernatural pseudo-religious power in her. Uh, yeah, no, that's a really interesting question. I also picked up, and you'll see this when you get there, the music thing. Again, there's a different music in the. I think it's played in the first time you meet Paula when she's in the cabin. There's this song that's playing that's kind of sad but also like determined,
mhm.
and it plays in this game in Youngtown. So it's not directly related with Anna, but she is the one who like tells you we need to go to Youngtown. Um, and it's a town again, yeah, where there apparently are no adults. They've all disappeared, and the kids are all very upset about it. Um, so there is some kind of weird, just like connection there um, between her house, which is like a church where there's one parent but not the other, to the preschool where it's like a place where kids go while their parents can't take care of them, to this town where it's just kids because all the parents have been abducted. Um, one of the kids there says like a spaceship came and took all of their moms and dads away. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, so it's pretty wild. And here's the thing that I was wondering about. Speaking of like supernatural things, um, so Ninten has psychic powers, Anna has psychic powers, and some of them overlap. Um, but Lloyd doesn't. Lloyd has no psychic powers. Uh, Yet, all three of them seem to uh, go to Magicant, which like requires psychic ability to manifest or maybe just to travel to. Um, so there's something weird going on with like the the connection between um, your psychic abilities and your friendships, your relationships in this game, and I don't quite know what to make of that. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I hadn't considered that. That's actually a very interesting point that I need to chew on before I guess I have like a meaningful thought about it. Um, yeah, and I don't think so. Yeah, after I got Anna, I think she died like almost immediately. That first enemy I ran into hit her, and so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go to Magicant. So I got there. Um, yeah, it's none of the NPC dialogue changes, I guess, and I don't know if that was a deliberate choice or just a limitation on the hardware. But they only ever refer to Nintendo, um,
Mhm.
even there. I have to imagine that that's just because there's limited space. Um, but yeah, I'm just trying to. What, so I went to Magicant after getting her, got some gear, trekked through, got back out, and then I guess I went up to Union Station because I was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay. I looked at the map. Youngtown is to the east
Yeah.
of Union Station, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, maybe the train's open by now. Um, it's not, and if you try to walk along those train tracks, the bridge has been uh, there's a bridge that the train has to go over that's just completely out. Um,
Right. Right.
so I think I went the wrong way. Um,
No, no, you're right in the right neighborhood. So the only thing, so you just like keep walking around there. I think if you go down, you run into some trees. You can't go that way. But if you go up, you'll be able to pick out a path that gets you around the destroyed bridge. So
oh, you got to be
from,
kidding
from
me.
yeah from the broken bridge, all you got to do is keep walking around, walk up and around, and you'll come down, and you'll have to go through the desert. And the desert's pretty gnarly. Um, you've got enemies there that poison you and shoot um, death beams at you. Um, Fortunately, none of them have like too much HP, so it's not too bad. Uh, and it's a decent place to level because on the other side of the desert, if you can get through it, is Youngtown. And there's a place in Youngtown you can sleep for free, and it's just worth going there first, I would argue, than trying to explore the desert too much at first. So that's what I would recommend.
Where were you earlier today when I got to the bridge? And I
Sorry.
said, oh, I was like, oh, maybe I have to go up north because like I didn't spend a ton of time in Snowman,
Uh-huh. No, yeah.
so I thought like, oh, maybe I just missed something down there.
Oh
Um,
no.
so I ended up buying a train to there. Realized that that didn't do anything, so then I went back up to Reindeer,
Oh, sure.
and I started looking for the
The wise old man.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
So
See, what I remembered about the wise old man, and I think someone in town tells you that too, is that he just gives you unlimited medicine,
mhm.
um, which is handy, but also, as we've mentioned, as is well known about these games, the inventory system is really a hassle. and so you can only carry so much anyway. Um, so you can get some medicine and you can sell it and make some money, or you can use it if you need it. But like, I don't think there's any super necessary stuff to go along with that guy up there in the mountains. I think that's kind of just a gag and a red herring. Um, I don't remember there being another song up there or anything like that. So
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I don't think that there is. So you go up the mountain. And I guess I'll save you the time in case you didn't want to explore. So basically, you go up the mountain, you come to this big house, you walk in. There's a kid who looks like a younger version of you, and one of the
Mm.
healer sprites are there. And you talk to the kid, and he says something like, "Yeah, I can't understand when the old man speaks either." And so you go and talk to the old man, and it's just a bunch of um, stuff. So I'm like, okay. Uh, this is the first time I think I actually tried to use telepathy uh,
Oh wow.
on someone, and it worked. And so the doctor was thinking, I guess, I can't speak without my dentures in. So if you continue around the mountain, there's a sign eventually that says something about nearing some kind of triangle, like the Bermuda Triangle, I guess.
Oh, weird.
But under that sign are the dentures. So after you pick those up, you go back to the doctor. You give him the dentures, and then he talks about how his secret method of staying healthy is to gargle. And so he gargles strong, long, and then he just, yeah, he maxes out your inventory with mouthwash.
That's awesome.
So that's where I stopped. So I guess I have some more backtracking to do. It's not that hard to get to him, especially since
Okay.
if you were to go now, I'm sure you're well over leveled to get there. I'm not sure if there's
Okay.
anything else there. I might try to seek that out before leaving. But yeah, I mean, basically, I guess if you don't want to go and explore it, you know what you're going to find up there.
No, it's worth doing. I think it's the only way to cure the cold. I was looking this up. I was like, okay, so what do the healing spells do? They heal various ailments, but I don't think there's any ability you learn that will ever cure the cold, which is really funny to me. All right. Um, we don't have a cure for the common cold. So that's like the only place you can get um, mouthwashes, other than, I guess, buying them, maybe finding them some places.
So,
Uh,
is this a
so-
translation error, or is this some kind of remedy in Japan for getting rid of the common cold, or is this just something supposed to be inane? Uh,
I have no idea. It's such an old man thing, though. I feel like it's probably universal. This is definitely one of my dad's home remedies. Is gargling. Not mouthwash though. He would always gargle water with salt water,
yeah, no,
and
I've heard that one before.
sore
Quick,
throat and stuff.
quick tangent since we're going to talk about weird home remedies. Have you ever seen the show Nathan for You?
No.
It was a show on Comedy Central where this guy came up with like it, it's supposed to be a parody of those shows that it's like kitchen nightmares and that kind of stuff where you go into a failing business and try to
Oh yeah.
help them revamp it and whatever. Uh, and so he went to a gas station one time and he had some like cockamamie scheme where it's like you'll give everyone free gas, but they have to like redeem the coupon at the top of this like mountain, hoping to dissuade people who got the free gas from like actually redeeming the coupon. Um, and so I guess yeah, so there's just like this weird clip at the end. Oh, what whatever, it doesn't matter. But one of the people during it like drinks their own urine or something like that.
Oh,
I forget how it comes up.
perfect.
But
Perfect.
so at the end, Nathan is talking to the gas station guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry that this didn't work out very well. Um, but at least at least I got to meet you and these other people. The one guy was pretty weird. He drinks his own urine, and the gas station attendant, who's this kind of like old, I don't know where he would be from, maybe Greek, I don't know, uh, but he's like." he's like, yeah, he said something about like a home remedy being like drinking his like kid's urine.
Oh,
I'll link
sure.
it in the Discord, but it's just so funny because like it's the only time Nate, the guy, the host of the show, is always the one kind of like with the shock humor and saying like absurd stuff. But like Nathan, when the guy says like, oh, "Yeah, drink your grandson's pee," he's like, "Well, who told you that?" He's like, "Oh, my grandmother." My grandmother says if you're scared, and it's like scared of what? What would you have to be? But apparently, after the age of 5, you can't drink any children's urine anymore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a
Loses
hilarious
its
clip.
powers.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't. It's not pure anymore
Sure.
or innocent. So, um, yeah. Sorry about that wild tangent. I just like to bring up that story whenever possible.
I I think it's in this might be the one place where that story is like totally relevant. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean,
exactly the same thing that we get in this game.
right, right. Um, so yeah, so I didn't do much more aside from that. I don't even think I'm trying to think if I even like talked to anyone. Aside from obviously the healer. Um, no,
Yeah,
so
reindeer feels like a totally just it's just there. I mean, there's really nothing to it other than the old man with the mouthwash, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
you get the hat there.
oh well, sure. Yep, yep.
If you go to Anna before getting the hat, does she still come with you?
That's a great question. Uh, I would assume so. Although maybe she tells you you have to bring her hat, and then yeah, you're kind of stuck in a little loop there. I don't know. It's
Or
weird.
is that person just kind of there to be like, hey, you probably picked reindeer first. Here's one of the first
Mm-hmm.
NPCs that you run into. They're going to kind of
Mm-hmm.
guide you and give you that hint. Um, that's interesting. I'll have to
Yeah.
look into that.
Yeah, that's well. It's similar to. I was looking at some screenshots and stuff, and apparently you can bring Pippi with you up to the zoo. Uh, like if you don't take her home right away, she'll stick around with you, and you can go and do some of the next few things with her. I don't know for how long she'll tag along. Like presumably she can't go to Magic Camp with you, but anyway, yeah. So I think there are some interesting sort of points where maybe different things are possible depending on some decisions you make and where you go first. But
Which, if that is the case, would make for a really cool mechanic in an RPG, considering how linear most of them are.
yeah,
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 if there are some kind of cool sequence breaking, that'd be appreciated. So,
yeah.
all right, so you got to Youngtown. Did you do
Did
any exploring there?
I talked to a bunch of people? I gained a very important power. Um,
Oh,
you learn teleport from a baby, and it's
okay.
awesome just because it's similar to teleporting in Earthbound. In this one, you like have to run really fast, and then you'll zip to. You can choose from the places that you've been before. So
Oh,
super handy to zip around the map.
okay. So I know exactly where I'm going to be going next.
There you
Since
go.
I should have been there by now, why don't you just tell us a little bit about like what our goal is after getting to, where they're pointing you in the next direction after getting teleport.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, there is definitely some more stuff to do exploring in the desert, which I haven't done yet. But I know that there is stuff there. But once you get to Youngtown, the the pretty clear indication is like, okay, you got to go to LA next because beyond LA are the mountains where the spacecraft has taken the parents. Um, some of the kids there seem to be psychic. One of the kids is this baby who teaches you teleport, and the other, there's a kid who's like, I hear my dad's voice calling to me from these mountains, but I'm not strong enough to make the journey there. Um, so anyway, yeah, it seems like whatever happened to Anna's mom, possibly whatever happened to your great grandparents has happened here as well, and that these mountains are the destination. And so we've got to do LA and then get to the mountains. That seems to be the next. next steps. But I'm gonna go back and explore the desert a little bit more. I know there's at least one important thing there because I was exploring a little bit and I ran into a boss fight where I got totally creamed. It hits you for like 200 something damage. Um, but there seems to be a trick to this. There's a guy by an oasis. He's got a tank, and he'll let you ride in the tank once you get 10 ticket stubs from taking uh, tourist plane flights with him in his plane. So I just needed to clear out my inventory a little bit so I could do that. So that's what I'll do first. Take
Okay,
some more flights,
I'll
borrow the
do that as well.
tank, stomp the big boss, and do whatever it is that's hiding behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I guess just to kind of one other thing that happened to me um, was I called to save the game with my dad, and I think this was the first time that the game was truly breaking the fourth wall. It started asking me about my name, the player,
Oh, interesting.
and so I had to put that in. Uh, again, similar mechanic in Earthbound. But once you get to Summers, I think that's the first time you put in your name, right?
It's yeah, it's like I think he calls you. It's Tony, right? He calls you and he wants to know your name, and but I think a little bit later he'll call and confirm as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's another thing. The dad is like talking to you directly and is thanking you for your help, helping Ninten on his journey,
Oh wow,
which I thought was a pretty cool, nice touch. I appreciate that. Uh,
I didn't get that yet. I guess I got to call home.
well, I assume that you're using save states as well, right?
Yeah, that's how I load the game usually.
Yeah, it's so much easier that way. So I did find that I would go long stretches of time without calling him, and that could bite me in the butt if I ended up dying and having to go back. So
It's bad.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I've been trying to. Anytime I see a phone and I remember it, I try to call. So it's just kind of a coincidence that I ended up calling and getting that. I wonder what would happen if you got to the end of the game without ever calling your dad again.
Right.
I don't know. You might have to take
Again,
that
yeah.
one for the team.
Probably not.
Okay.
But something again to look up to see like what are some of the things you can do in this game and things that you can't. Um, it does seem like it opens up some interesting, um, yeah, just little chinks in the carefully plotted sequence of the story.
Uh, yeah. And I just thought of another question. Have you been able to use telepathy on any other NPC? The healer in the mountain is the first one that I was able to
Hmm.
successfully use it on, but I've been using it very sparingly.
Yeah, I want to say there's at least a couple more. I know the cat in Magicant is one. Um, I feel like there's a few others, and the baby in Youngtown. He'll goo and ga at you, but everyone's telling you there's this telepathic baby. So it's pretty clear that you need to use telepathy to talk to him.
Yeah, I guess any person that you think that you should be able to talk to and can't um,
Right.
indicates
Right.
probably you have to use telepathy. What a weird thing, though. Well, it's so unnecessary.
I, yeah, it's kind of like it makes you access the menu to do a thing that really shouldn't be necessary. I feel like that's part of the charm of the game, although it is a little bit annoying. Not sure. I'm not
Well,
sure what to make of that.
what what use is there of telepathy? I, you can't use it in battle, right?
No, it's not even an option. Yeah, it
So
doesn't even.
it's literally just a third option when interacting with something. You can either talk, check, or use telepathy.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the eat option in your inventory menu, right? It's like, why bother putting that in there? There's like one item I know of, right? The bread. You can use it, it'll turn to crumbs, or you can eat it. But other than that, I don't know. It's just, it's just
Huh. Just
for an
dawned on
extra
me that
thing.
I could eat the bread.
You
That
can eat
makes
the
a lot of
bread. Oh yeah,
sense.
but the crumbs are way more useful.
How does the bread work?
You use it and it changes to crumbs and it says something like, whoever it is started laying down crumbs. And then when you use the crumbs, it says, okay, now we're going to follow the crumbs back to the beginning, and
Okay.
it warps you back to wherever you initially used the bread.
So you
It's
could use
really
it.
helpful.
You could use it in like the initial room in the mansion. Use the
Mm-hmm.
bread, and then as soon as you get to the end, use that to get back out. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh.
precisely.
Well, interesting. Well, I'm excited to see where we go from here. I guess I'm gonna have to go back down the mountain, and go back up to
Ha.
Union Station, and get to the desert. Um, should I? Which pendant would be good for the desert?
Uh, there's enemies there that explode. I don't know if that counts as fire damage. It doesn't seem to make a difference.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Honestly, yeah, they use beam attacks. Again, you got to have those Franklin badges. And right now, I think we have only two, so one of your characters is at risk of getting one hit KO'd, which is just the way the game goes, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
that's very
yeah.
unfortunate for Lloyd, since I find him to be the weakest of the three.
Oh, he totally is, yeah.
Just kind
Uh,
of useless.
hey, but there's a laser beam weapon. I haven't tried using it yet. Obviously, the bottle rockets kind of suck in this game, but the laser beam weapon might be really strong. I'm not sure. I'm hoarding it at the moment, um, just to stand up for Lloyd, who is my namesake in these games.
Listen, any references to real life characters is like unintentional. What's that? What's that you always see at the beginning of like South Park or whenever you used to watch like Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV?
The disclaimer.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Um, okay, all right. Well, I think it's the game is getting better at this point. Now you
yeah.
have three characters to play with, so you have a lot more variety in terms of how to fight and do stuff, and the story's picking up. So I'm excited to play, get to Youngtown, maybe get to the mountains.
Right on.
All right, well, I guess I'll do this again next week.
Yeah.
All right.